Hi everyone, so today we're going to be talking about math. More specifically, we're going to be talking about algebra, which is a branch of mathematics. And what's cool about it is that I can actually use it to read your mind. Okay, so the first thing I need you to do is to pick any number. Your number has to be a whole number, so that means no decimals, fractions, any of that. It probably should be from 1 to 10, just to make it easier. But if you want to do it outside the range of 1 to 10, that's totally fine as well. Now that you have a number in your mind, I want you to take your number and multiply it by 2. Take your answer from step 2 and multiply it by 3. All right, after you've done that, I want you to divide by your original number. So the last and final step, I want you to add 3 to whatever answer you got for number 4. And we're done. Okay, so now you should have a final number. I'm going to guess whatever number you have in your mind. So, are you ready? Okay. Is it 9? If you've seen this trick before, you might not be that impressed, but if you haven't seen this trick before and you're wondering what's going on, it all goes back to algebra. No matter what number you originally picked, you should always end up with 9. So I'm not guessing a different number every time. And that's all because of algebra. What exactly is algebra? So in algebra, we use something called variables. But what exactly is a variable? Well, a variable is just a symbol. A symbol can be a shape, like a star. Another symbol that we could use to represent a variable is a letter. The letter X is used a lot. A variable can also be a word, though mathematicians are pretty lazy, so you won't see this as often, but you could use an entire word as a variable. You could use the word number. And what's special about variables is that they're not just symbols that don't really do anything. They're symbols that actually represent numbers. Now, why would we use a star, a letter, or a word to represent a number? Well, there's something special about these numbers. We actually don't know the value of these numbers yet. If we go back to the magic trick I just did with you, at first I asked you to pick a number. You're probably going to pick a different number every time. So we don't know the value of this number you're going to pick beforehand. So does this sound familiar? This is a perfect time to use variables. We can use a word to represent a variable. We can definitely use this word to represent a variable. You might be wondering, why are they called variables? Well, it's because they represent numbers that can vary from situation to situation. So therefore, they're called variables. So after I asked you to pick a number, I asked you to multiply your number by 2. All right, we just multiply by 2. After I asked you to multiply your number by 2, I asked you to multiply your entire answer by 3. So we'll just slap some parentheses around there and multiply this by 3. The fourth step was to divide this entire expression by your original number. Step number 5, the final step, was to add 3 to this entire expression. As you can see, this is basically our magic trick laid out in math. So I encourage you to pause this video, go back if you need to, and just write this expression down either on your own or along with me. And once you have it down on paper, we can move on to the next step. Now is the fun part. I'm going to show you how I was able to read your mind. I'm actually going to be simplifying this expression. So we have 2 and 3 as factors at the end here. So this expression simplifies to 3 plus 6, since 2 times 3 is 6, times the number, the original number, divided by the number. So 6 times any number over that number is going to be 6. So this simplifies to 3 plus 6, which simplifies to 9. 9 is actually the answer to the mind reading trick that we did together. Whatever number that you picked in the beginning, you always ended up with 9. And now with the help of algebra, you can clearly see why that's the case. We can use a variable and name it anything. In this case, we named it number, and use that to write the magic trick in terms of variables and numbers. And then we simplified that all the way down to 9. And we can see that no matter what the number is, it always simplifies down to 9, which is really, really cool. We can actually simplify this expression even further. In algebra, we're usually pretty lazy and we don't really want to write out number over and over again. So we'll usually use singular letters as our variables. For example, if we used n instead of number, we would end up with 3 plus 2 times 3 times n over n, in contrast to before when we had 3 plus 2 times 3 times number, which is pretty tedious to write out over and over again, like I'm doing here. You could definitely use like shapes like stars or entire words like number, but mathematicians, for the most part, love to use just single letters to represent their variables. I really hope you had fun in this video, especially with the mind reading part. I thought that was super cool when I first saw it. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye!